So welcome to an introduction to accountable self-talk. We've talked about accountable talk in general, which is being accountable to how you talk, right? In terms of speaking in a way that gets you heard, right? Accountable talk is a way to think of sort of sentence stems and ways you can start a conversation to be heard by other people. Now, this accountable self-talk is just the same idea applied to how you talk to yourself, right? It's actually equally important how we speak to ourselves. The problem with that is we always listen to ourselves. So even if we speak in a way that's disrespectful or rude or demeaning, we tend to listen to that when we're saying it to ourselves, unfortunately. In fact, the unfortunate thing is a lot of us are more likely to listen when we are being rude to ourselves and tearing ourselves down than we are when we're saying good things. So accountable self-talk is about really thinking through how we talk to ourselves and how we can do that in a different way. And again, I'm talking about what we say in our minds to ourselves, right? Not literally speaking out loud, although we can do that sometimes. And honestly, you should be really accountable to what you say out loud to yourself, because people will perceive it a particular way. But right now, we're really talking about these things we tell ourselves in our minds when things are getting rough, right? So when things are tough, when we're hitting a wall in terms of practicing something or doing something that maybe we don't really want to do, we tell ourselves a lot of different things, right? Unfortunately, a lot of the time we tell ourselves things like, this is too hard. I can't do this. I'm bad at this. This is boring, right? All of these things that we tell ourselves when things are difficult or are not exactly what we want to do that lead us to quitting and not continuing or not putting in full effort or not putting in our full attention, which of course keeps us from persisting and keeps us from being successful in the way that we've talked about in terms of that concept of achieving anything, right? It's really hard to achieve a lot when we're telling ourselves things like this. So what we need to do is change things around, change the concept of what is impossible into what's possible, what we're unable to do to what we are able to do with enough time and effort, right? Because this is the thing, people who persist, right, tend to tell themselves things like this when we are trying to get better or when we hit that wall. I need to practice more. And I'm bad at it, but I just need to practice more, right? This is how I get better, right? Now, this is boring or dumb or a waste of my time. By putting this effort, this is how I get better. By asking themselves, what do I want to achieve? Reminding yourselves of your goals to push through. Right now is not that fun, but I can push through it. I can get through this and get myself better, right? I can do this, right? These are the kinds of things we tell ourselves in our brains when we are able to persist. Because again, there is no success in life that ever happens without some boring times, without doing things that we don't want to do, without experiencing a little bit of pain. So if we tell ourselves the right things, we'll push through that. And if we don't, well, if your own brain isn't supporting you, success is really hard to find, right? You need to at least have yourself on your side to be successful. Otherwise, it's just too hard. You're going to quit. You're not going to push through. You're not going to put in the effort you need, right? So to persist, you need to be accountable to yourself, right? You need to be responsible to yourself. And that begins with what you say to yourself. So going forward, we're going to practice a little bit of accountable self-talk, which is really a form of planning ahead and actually really figuring out what are the things I can say to myself that will motivate me, that I will believe, that will help me push forward, instead of those things that will tear myself down or make me less successful or want to quit. Right? That's where we're going right now. So let's get ready to work and think ahead and plan ahead and be accountable to what we say to ourselves.